We are about to be editing our New York Times bestseller, baby. I just finished the first draft of my book. And not only did I finish writing it, but I just finished reading it through. And honestly, I'm so surprised and impressed with myself. We have a good book on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. And now it's time to move into the next step of editing. I know that this is my first book, but I have gotten some advice and done some researching, and I have a really thorough plan that I'm actually really excited about. Before, editing felt daunting, but now I feel excited. So today we are going to be talking about what is the plan for editing this book that's about to be a bestseller. I am so excited about this, y'all. I have been working on, for honestly, I guess what really is a short amount of time so far. At the top of the year, it's July right now. So in January I started with the idea and the intentions to work on my memoir turned young adult dystopian fantasy. And I have finished the first draft and I'm moving into the editing phase. And if you are here, you are either supporting me, you are an OG who's ready to see this book become the thing, the next big sensation, and or you're also writing your own book and you are here to be in the depths of the process and figure it all out. And so in this episode, I want to talk about what I'm doing to give you OG's insight of what's coming, my reflection from reading it the first time, but also share with all of you who are writing a book, like what my process is to get ideas. I've gotten so many ideas and so much inspiration and so much encouragement watching other writers on YouTube. And so I want to continue sharing what I'm doing because I know y'all love it because you're invested in this book and in this story, and y'all love it because you are writing for yourself. After my last vlog where I talked about finishing my first draft and being so excited, I also mentioned in there, I realized I need to learn a little bit about what it takes to edit and to edit well. And an amazing human being, her name is Shelly Lortz. She is the twin sister of a friend of mine from college, sent me the most helpful voice memo ever. She is a writing coach for people who are doing creative nonfiction. That's what I've gathered. I'm pretty sure that's what she does. And I'll tag all of her information below for you because her 4-minute voice memo changed my life and my plan and made me feel so confident in the process that I'm about to do with editing. So today I am gonna I guess all that to say, I'm starting by not taking her initial starting advice, but she gave me a 4 or 5 step process for editing that I'm gonna follow. The first step was take a month break from your book and then come back, but I've never read my book, not once. So the first thing I'm gonna do is read my book through first, and I'm gonna do the first step of the editing process. And honest to goodness, it was like the most golden 4-minute voice memo I've ever gotten on Instagram. And it was really helpful. She's like, I know you didn't ask for this advice, but let me tell you what I tell my writers in order to edit their books. And she had great insight, and it really made me reflect and think about what is the process that I want on this. And the first thing that it really made me think about was time. Her very first step that she said was take time away from your book. She's like, if you could take a month off, take a month off. And I immediately went, oh, but I love my book. I've just been trying so hard to make time for my book. The last thing I've tried to do so far is take time away from it. It really made me think a couple of things. One, I have been thinking about I know what's in my brain. I know what's in my story. And when I'm connected to my book all of the time, I'm not seeing the parts that I'm missing, right? It's like how you can write a sentence and not realize you missed a word because you know what the sentence is supposed to say. It's the same thing about my book. I need some space from it so that I know what I'm not filling in and what I'm imagining and filling in the background in my own brain. So I think that alone makes a lot of sense for that time. And the other thing it made me really reflect on is it turns out J.K. Rowling took 5 years to write the first Harry Potter book. And I'm like, dang, I don't have a timeline for this, but am I actually in a rush to get this book out? Only because I'm excited. And very classic Kayla is somebody who loves to do things fast and finish it and get to the end point and then reiterate and make her next book best. But I want this one to be amazing, learned, wise, everything in my first go round. So after I read that for 5 years, I'm like, you know what? I'm not in a rush. I know y'all are excited. I'm sorry if that disappoints you to hear, but I'm not in a rush. Can I take a month off for my book? I don't know. We'll find out. So here are the steps. The first one that Shelly shared with me, Shelly Lortz, and I'll put all of her information in the description box down below. I'll put her website and everything so that you can go talk to her, hire her, get her advice because she's stellar. She also, like, and I am not paid or sponsored to say this, but she has this like deck of cards. It's almost like a tarot deck, but for writers. And it's so cool. And there's like prompts on it to improve your writing. There's like creative prompts every time. And right now she's sending them out weekly. I'm subscribed to it and I love it. I'll put that link down below too, because you should totally subscribe to that. It's actually really fucking cool. But her first thing was to take a month off and away from your book when you go edit it. I did make the executive decision not to take a month off of my book because first and foremost, or at least right now, because I actually haven't even read my book front end ever, like not once. I've just been writing it, and I've never gone back and said reread from the front. And I was like, that's the first thing that I want to do is do that. And that's what I finished doing today, y'all. Like, it was amazing. I started reading at one of my favorite places in New York City called St. Hardim, this little cafe. And it was so crazy is that I packed up my stuff to go to a coffee shop and have coffee, and I'm taking my own book to read. Like, what? My own book. My own book is going to be my coffee shop companion. And it was so amazing. The guy there that was serving like gave me a free matcha. He was so excited that I was like reading my first book for the first time, my first draft of my first book for the first time in their cafe. And I just felt so supported, and there was just so much magic. It felt so great. And today we went to the Ludlow Soho House and I finished reading it. And I honestly I just finished reading my book for the first time. And honestly, I'm so impressed. The parts that I thought like some characters felt like they got lost or not referenced enough, but I was like, oh, no, they're there. The storyline's there. There's like solid plot. There's parts that made me laugh, parts that made my eyes wet, and when you turn and close the page, you just feel like this feeling. So good. I totally, though, in reading it, have so many things that I want to expand on to make better, to make even more laughs, even more emotional feelings, and even more by the end to just like make it feel stronger. But I am so impressed with my first draft and so excited that it's that good, because I was, like I said before, a little bit afraid that it might be bad, but it's really not. I was just so surprised and impressed and moved, and like the story has so many elements that I hoped that it would, and I'm so super proud of it. So that was really, really awesome. I'm not taking that month off because I wanted to reread it first through, and I know that I was like moving around big chunks of the story. When I did reread it, I'm like, oh, the seams of where I like moved this scene all the way to chapter 3 instead of chapter 17, a lot of those seams are really rough. So I have gone through and I read it and I took notes, and I'm going to go back and do one sweeping edit. I think what I'm going to basically do is focus on one chapter at a time to add and revise, like kind of add some of that story, make those seams clean where those are, and just kind of clean that up and go chapter by chapter through that just overall first go through. Not anything like really serious. I'm not doing line by line or words or anything like that, but just that general cleaning it upness that I think needs to be done the first time in my heart of hearts, even though I know Shelly is a professional and said different advice, but in my heart of hearts, that's what I feel. Then I think I would take some time away. Can I do a whole month? I'm going to aim for 2 weeks. But in that time, I want to read books that I feel like would be inspired by this time. I want to reread the whole Percy Jackson series. I might reread Hunger Games. I want to read some Judy Blume. And I know that those books are I think some of them are a little bit younger than the group that I'm going for here. But I really want to tap into that like young adult, true, honest, this is my scenario. Like that's one of the things I love about the Percy Jackson series is it's like that's Percy's real, true, just like life. You could just feel the rawness of who he is as a young man. And so I want to read some books like that because that's how I want my book to read. So I think in these times off, that's going to be my plan there. so that when I go to reread the story, I'm kind of tapped into that. Like right now, I'm reading the Silo series, and that's an adult novel. It's really in depth. It's really detailed. It's got multiple like storylines, plot lines. And I'm like, right now, that puts my brain in kind of like a different place. And so I think I want to just put my brain in the place of and like kind of prep it to come back and edit for that type of story. So after you take the time off, so I'm going to do my own reread thing, do my own zhuzhing, then I'm going to take the time off. Then what Shelly said is the first edit through, you're going to go through rounds of edits. And the first one is to reread it and fluff it out. And as I've reread this time, I can see where that makes so much sense. And for me, I think this is going to be a balance because when you read Percy Jackson, one of the things that I adore about it is it's very straightforward. It's not like super overdeveloped in terms of like description and stuff like that. I love the way that it sounds like a young boy is narrating it, where like Harry Potter is very different. It's very descriptive. It's very magical. Like you're hearing, like you're seeing so much more in depth. And I'm kind of deciding which way do I want it to lead. Right now, my book reads more Percy Jackson. Going through and fluffing it out, it could read more Harry Potter, more Hunger Games. And I liked reading both. I think I personally prefer to read the latter. I think that it makes me feel more attached, gives me more vision. So I think when I go to fluff it out, it's going to turn out this way. Now, after all these rounds of edits, who knows what's going to happen? But I can see where I have kind of this more straightforward, this is exactly what they're thinking, exactly what they're wondering, and then turning it into this more even more creative, nuanced, visual, feelings rooted, show not tell type of thing. And so I can see what she's saying when like really fluff it out. And now that I've reread it, I see that so much more. The next thing that she says is to go through the chapters, and I love this idea. And now again, also that I've reread it, I understand this more. To go through the chapters theme by theme. When she first said this, I was kind of like, well, my book doesn't have like 20 odd themes. But then I realized it does. There's nuanced themes in there about self-trust. There's nuanced themes about, obviously, poverty is one of the large themes, right? There's themes about friendship. And it really reminds me of, there's a podcast that I love called Harry Potter as a Sacred Text, which is reading Harry Potter kind of like the Bible in the way that you would learn from it. And they, on this podcast, I'll also link this below. If you haven't listened to this and you are a Harry Potter fan, you must listen to it. Honestly, if you love fantasy, if you love fiction, you should listen to this, because what's really cool is they read the book and they read it chapter by chapter, or really they read it on their own and then discuss it on the podcast with a theme. So they might be like, okay, we're reading Harry Potter 1 chapter 7 on the theme of love. We're reading Harry Potter 1 chapter 8 on the theme of friendship. We're reading Harry Potter 1 chapter 9 on the theme of family. And they're just seeing and pulling it apart as if these are real people and real situations in life and how we can learn about those themes. And I'm like, oh, this would be like doing that in reverse. It'd be giving that podcast something to like dive into that's juicy so that those themes could come out. And I really love that, because as an educator and a coach, I want my story to be something people learn from. That's the whole point. And so I really love this suggestion by Shelly to go through and do that. So after you do the fluffing it all out, you go back and you make sure your themes are really strong. And I love that idea, and I can already see my chart, and I'm really excited to get that going. And then after doing that, I'm sure that will fluff things out even more and add depth to all of the description. The thing that she said after that was to work on the hero story. And that actually, I was really impressed. In my first read through, felt stronger than I thought it would be. I thought that because I moved things around that it might feel choppy. I really worked hard on taking real events in my life, but taking artistic liberty to kind of move those events around so that it made more of like a hero's arc. And I really like how I did it. There are certain things that I want to make sure are strong, maybe stronger. I want to make sure the ending feels strong. When I read it, it did. Of course, it really needs more description. I think I was just getting so excited about like getting to the end that there's less description kind of in it. But I felt like the way it went out was really strong. And reading like the final image, like I closed the last page and was like, oh my God, yes. I felt for the character, me. And then I was like, okay, but wait, I have to know what happens next. And that's exactly the feeling that I want. And as I read my book, yes, I want to focus on my hero story, but one of the things that I love about every other book is there's sidekicks, there's other people, and I don't know that I've fleshed out my other characters very strongly. Largely, my character's supposed to be going out on her own. Like, she doesn't have people with her. That's like kind of the point of the story. But there is another character, Arevia, who is a magical critter she hatches that needs to be her sidekick, I think, and I need to build that up. I need to, right now, Arevia is just there as like proof that she's special, proof that she has magic, kind of a thing like that, adding a little bit of comfort, but she needs to be and have a stronger role. There's another character named David in my story who I'm like, I actually added him later because there's a different plot. There's like a different part of the story that I wanted to feed. And so I was like, oh, I need this character to bring in that other part of the story. And so I could tell when reading it that he felt a little purposeless. It was kind of like, what is his purpose? She interacts with him like 3.5 times. And the last one is supposed to be a really meaningful part of the story, and it is for her. But her choosing to see him makes no sense, even though what she learns from seeing him is really powerful. And so I do need to set that up a little bit more. I think I might make it like a semi-love interest or something like that, because she needs to be drawn to be around him. There needs to be purpose. So while I look at the hero's story and while I look at these themes, I also want to really hash out all the other characters and what are their storylines? What are their importance? What do they stand for? What do they mean from her? What does she learn from them? And so I think that's going to be part of what I do in that edit, either in the themes edit or maybe the hero story edit. I'll just do like everyone's story edit. Then the last thing that she said to edit is like adjectives, words, wordsmithing. And this is more of that line edit. It's like where I'm like, all these 3 paragraphs all started with she, and I need to rearrange those. She's like, you do that at the very end, which makes so much sense. But after reading my book, I'm like, it seems so hard not to do that now. It seems so hard to ignore it. So as I was reading, I was really trying to ignore those things and just read this like a reader. So after like page 15, I took way less notes because I was like, I just want to read it like a reader. But it was really hard to not be like, switch this, typo there, all of those little nitpicky, they're not nitpicky, they're so important. And then she said, after I go through and edit it in those 4 ways, then I send it to beta readers. So originally, and if we go back and look at like the plan that ChatGPT made me, getting my thing to beta readers in August is not going to happen because I need to do more revisions first, according to Shelley's plan, which I really like. I really like that idea. When I think about J.K. Rowling taking 5 years, when I think about how stellar I want my first book to be, I don't want this to be a beginner first book. I'm reading The Genius of Judy, about Judy Blume, and like she was experimental when she started. Her first books, admittedly, like she said they weren't the best. Her editors, her publishers said they weren't the best. And I don't want that. I want people to be like, she came out swinging. And mostly because this story, I want to do this story justice. And I was telling John, like, if I feel like this book isn't ready, I will put it to the side and write a different book. Because this story, my story, is powerful and I want it to be powerful. I want it to be strong. I want it to be meaningful. And if I need to practice elsewhere to like get that up to snuff, that's fine. That is totally, totally fine. I will do that. But what I don't want to do is put this story out and not be able to like rewrite it and make it better because it's already published out in the world. So after those 4 things, then set it to beta readers, then I would get it back, revise from them, and then I would hire a real editor. So that process to me feels really good. It feels really great. This is how I am going to go through it. And I'm making a whole new playlist on YouTube so that you can just watch all this editing because there's a bunch of steps. It's going to be more than just like reading and retyping it. So I think that this is going to be a really powerful part of my book. And I feel like editing is going to just feel like the juice, the meat, the like all like the everything that makes this story what it is. And I'm just getting so excited doing it. And before I was like a little afraid because it felt like it was so big. And here I am describing how big it is, but also like how excited I am, which if you watched my other vlogs, you know that I was kind of scared before. So this just feels so good to feel this way. So based on what Shelley gave me, based on watching some other YouTube videos and kind of like thinking about a revising and editing process, here's what I plan to do. And like I said, there's going to be a whole playlist in because you guys are going to follow me along as I do each of these steps to see how it feels, to see how it's coming. But the first thing, read it all. Yay. Check. Did that. Feels so good. Feel so excited. Feel so proud. The second thing, I'm just going to do that full, just like edit through everything that I see, clean it up is be the clean it up edit. Then my third step is to take at least a couple of weeks off. And that's when I'm going to reread Percy Jackson, get some Judy Blume books for inspiration, et cetera, et cetera. The fourth step is I'm going to theme map each of those chapters and then go back chapter by chapter, make sure everyone, like reread just the chapter, make sure it answers whatever theme I've assigned to it. And I'm going to be really thoughtful about assigning those themes. Then I'm going to work on the hero edit and the character edit. I'm going to look at each of those characters and make sure their story makes sense, make sure their purpose makes sense, make sure that their story is all fleshed out. And the same thing for me. I'm going to work on my hero arc and study that and make sure that that is all fleshed out. And I think all of these are going to take, like, you guys know how I like to use my big ass notebook, and I'm going to write in that a lot and then go get at it. So I think there's going to be a lot of like thinking, writing, getting my ideas out. The sticky notes are coming back for this, like they did in my brainstorming, moving those events all around and things like that, and then putting it back into Google Docs. And I think what I'll do is duplicate this so that I can save like this version, because so fun. Actually, no, I've already like saved it as a PDF, so I could just leave it like that. Then my my sixth step will be the adjectives, wordsmithing, really looking line by line at making every line beautiful. Then I'm going to send it to beta readers. I already know two, and y'all are so great. We're going to have a whole conversation about beta readers later. Y'all are so great reaching out, being like, I would love to beta read your story, and you're giving me your backgrounds, and I just feel so loved and supported and taken care of by your offers. Thank you so much. I already know two people for sure that I'm going to give it to. But again, that is down the road. Definitely not coming in August anymore, as it's July 17th right now. Then after beta readers, I will revise and edit again. And then after that, editors. So probably when I send it to beta readers is when I'm going to start looking for the right editor for me. So I am so excited about this process. I can't wait to take you along with this. I literally just now I think because I've finished and I've reread it, I really am proud of this book, and it's already fucking good. And I have not even done this edited process. So when I put in the title of this that we are editing a New York Times bestseller, I'm serious. I believe that that's going to happen. And I cannot wait for that moment, but I will be patient, and I will make sure it's up to snuff so that moment actually happens.